What is up, y'all? This is the Refreshed Cast. My name is Aaron Sawyer.
Matt Michaels.
And today, what are we talking about, bro?
Today we're going to talk about why I transitioned from a vegan plant-based diet into an animal-based diet.
Dude, and that was super recent too, wasn't it?
That was about a year ago. Yeah.
Okay, tell me, you want to talk about kind of what?
Yeah.
Was there like a crossroads that happened that kind of made you like want to?
Yeah, for sure. So, I would say in the beginning when I started my health journey, I did get some benefits from a vegan diet because I changed everything I was doing and stopped eating bullshit food, right? And stopped doing drugs and drinking alcohol.
Great start.
So that really helped. But then I started teaching it and I was helping other people, and I did have a lot of people improve because, again, they changed what they were doing and they changed their diet and they started eating real food. But I had several clients, two actually, that really did not respond well at all. And one of them went and got his blood work done and was deficient in like everything. And that really like hit me hard. And I had to take a look at myself and I was like, man, I'm still dealing with like blood sugar imbalances on a pretty regular basis. And I was having issues with keeping hard on when having sex, and my testosterone was way down, and I just didn't have much of a sex drive in general. So I had to be honest, like, how healthy am I if my body doesn't even want to reproduce? Like, that's a core thing that we're supposed to want to do. And the fact that as a man I didn't want to do that, there was something going on. So
once your boner dies, bro, you really got to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, man, like that's a sure tell sign that something's not right. So I decided to go the opposite direction and went carnivore for a while just to experiment. I always like to go to the most extreme of everything. It's
like just meat kind of deal?
Yeah, just meat, eggs. That was about it. I did do a little bit of fruit with it because I do love my fruit, and I'll get to that. But mostly just meat. And my sex drive went through the roof. My energy went through the roof. I had sustained constant energy instead of the fluctuations with all the blood sugar that I was having.
You looked more muscular too. I remember that. I was like, whoa, man, that beefed up a little bit.
Yeah, and I wasn't even working out. So my body just looked better from eating meat. So it was hard because of my spiritual perspectives and my like wanting to love animals, right? And so it was a challenge for me. It was not an easy shift, and I had a lot of mental gymnastics to work through. But at the end of the day, whether I just use this to validate it or not, I had to realize that death begets life in this world. And like, it's only in the Western world where we have everything handed to us on a silver platter that we think that we can just like avoid natural law, where like everything eats other things for life. And I can't argue with feeling better, period.
Yeah, bro. Like, you think about how many, I don't know, like it is something that I struggled with too. Like when I went vegetarian, I was vegan for a little bit. It's like you don't want to cause any suffering, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But in that same breath, you don't want to cause yourself suffering. And if your body is breaking down and eating itself, and like some of the lectins, like the nutrients, I want to ask you, bro, like what nutrients would you say are most lacking with just the vegan diet?
Yeah, so you're missing creatine. You pretty much only get that from red meat. You're missing choline, which is really important for liver detoxification. Creatine for muscles is probably why my muscles look better, because I'm getting creatine in my diet. B12 you don't really get on a plant-based diet, and there's some arguments that the bacteria in your gut create B12, so that's why vegans say you don't need it. But all I can say is that when you take someone that has been eating plant-based for a long time and is deficient, and they start eating meat, they're no longer needing supplementation for B12, and I'd rather get natural sources of these nutrients rather than supplementing them. I think we got to get back to nature in general.
Let's just go ahead and, before we upset some plant-based people, I want to know, like, okay, quality of meat, bro. Like, how important is that? Because, I mean, that to me kind of, like, makes or breaks the whole thing. I see kind of the carnivore people like, dude, if you're just getting some regular stuff, if you're getting pork from Walmart, that without a doubt has like worms and all sorts of crazy stuff in it. So
Yeah, man, I think that one, it's really important that we're getting animal products that are raised in humanely, like living real animal lives, pasture raised, living out in the sun, grazing, moving around. So all of these industrial raised farmed meats are sick, diseased animals. They're being fed the incorrect diet. They're being fed GMO corn, GMO soy, which is not species specific. Dude, they put cardboard in their food as filler. Like, they don't care about these animals at all. They're being tortured. They're being indoors all day. They're full of sickness. They're full of disease. And so then if you eat those animals, you're eating that sickness and disease. So it's imperative that if you go this direction, in my opinion, that you eat high quality animal products from preferably local farms, but at least living and being bred the way that they're supposed to. And that's not even to mention the spiritual aspect of the torture going on with these animals creates a karmic debt. And so when you're eating that negative energy, that's going to impact your body. These animals are being tortured from the moment they're born and then their entire life. And you're eating that torture. You're eating that fear, that agony. And whether people want to believe it or not, that is a huge part of eating those types of foods.
yeah, bro, like that is something that people be, I don't know, dude. It's just I can't express how important of a point that is when it comes to the quality of the meat. Like, that is the difference between living a healthy, fulfilled, abundant, grounded, creatine, B12, muscular life, and like just poisoning yourself even more because you have all this grease and worms and bacteria and parasites,
Antibiotics, hormones.
bro. Like,
Yeah.
and so I kind of want to bridge that gap. Like, there's there's like a spectrum of super unhealthy vegan food as well. And then you got like way more like natural. If people are living a more natural plant-based diet, they're gonna have, there's still just, scientifically some things that won't be being produced, like the protein and the B12,
Right.
but they're gonna be so much better off than the person who's eating
Oreos,
dude, yeah, like the vegan
Tofurkey.
Oreos, the vegan mac and cheese,
Yeah.
the Daiya, DAI.
Oh, man, yeah.
Oh, well, I'm vegan, so I can eat this pizza, and that's like literally tastes like plastic, and
It is literally plastic.
not giving you any health benefits. Right. It is giving you that personal satisfaction of being able to say, "Oh, I'm vegan and I'm plant based." I am curious, like, I want to get to the soil and how. I mean, we're in a soil crisis now.
Totally.
Let's just go ahead and talk about that. Like,
yeah. So a couple things. I'll touch on soil too, but as far as there's a lot of anti-nutrients in a lot of the plant-based foods, like these plants are alive too, right? And the only defense mechanism they have are these chemicals that they produce. So lectins, oxalates, these are all defense chemicals, and they cause inflammation in people. And yeah, we should be able to eat those foods without a lot of issue, but most Americans are already dealing with some level of leaky gut. And so when you're eating these lectins and these oxalates, your body is having a hard time metabolizing them. It's creating more inflammation and pain in the body. And I hear like vegan community always denouncing that and saying that's nonsense, but I've literally seen so many people have negative reactions to those foods, and once I remove dark leafy greens, their inflammation goes away. So I learned from experience. Like, I don't care what my dogma is or what I believe. It's what I experience is what's true, and I experienced it within myself. I experienced it with clients. And then with the soil, man, yeah. We don't know how to farm in the United States, so it's completely void. We just constantly monocrop, so there's no diversity in the soil. We're lacking all of the minerals. We're lacking the different strains of bacteria. So our food is already being grown dead. It has no nutritional value. And then you also take into account the distance from farm to plate. I saw recently on this video, like when you plant spinach, and it's grown and it's full of nutrients, and then they're going to box it and then they're going to ship it across the country. And when they test the nutritional profile, by the time it gets across the country, there is no nutritional value. So it's dead completely.
Dead spinach. And
so you're just eating oxalates.
Might think you're eating something really healthy. Oh, finally, I'm getting my diet together. I'm eating spinach, not knowing that if it's not from like a homegrown local like farmer's market type of situation, there's absolutely zero nutritional value to that spinach. and the dark leafy greens if you have leaky gut, which, by the way, leaky gut is, correct me if I'm wrong, like whenever things leak out of the intestinal tract and get into the bloodstream, such as...
Yeah, it's little micro tears along the intestinal lining, so then the proteins escape into the bloodstream, and that's what causes a lot of food sensitivities and immune responses, autoimmune conditions, and things like that.
What would you say to people who are experiencing symptoms that they might not think is food related? Like I mean, how much of it comes down to what you're eating?
I mean, it's what you're eating with your body, with your eyes, your mouth, and your ears. You know what I mean? So I think it all plays a role. And the more I do this kind of work, I'm like, the emotions play a huge role in it, you know, your thinking patterns. But yeah, the food is huge. I mean, allergies, it's coming from your food, right? Mm-hmm. All these people think that they just have allergies, but it's coming from your poor detox pathways because of your poor nutrition and not eating well. These headaches, any like gas, bloating, indigestion, heartburn, these are all symptoms of poor food. Pain in the body, inflammation, you name it. Literally anything that people deal with that's normal for people, that they just think is normal, is a sign of chronic illness caused by poor lifestyle and dietary choices.
I'm glad that you touched on like the state of being. There's a holistic aspect to it where it's like, it's not just what you're eating, it's how you are while you're eating, and what, you know, are you in a state of gratitude? Like that is something that, you know, I'm learning that as I take my inflammation down and I take out things that cause inflammation, I also realize, dude, a lot of my inflammation is stress related. And if I'm stressed out whenever I'm eating, then I'm eating stress. And if you're in a situation like with the animal base, like if you're eating an animal that was killed in complete stress and slavery from birth to death, you're eating that and you're stressed out, and it's like this snowball effect. But I do want to get to like, let's get to the healthy meats, because I mean that has literally changed my life. That if there was one thing like that has affected my health in a super positive way, is like getting rid of the snack foods, the unhealthy snack foods, one, and then finding the highest quality meat that I could find. So like, what are some of the positive impact and portion too, right? Like,
totally.
Oh, I'm on a carnivore diet and then I just like completely overeat. Well, that doesn't help my leaky gut at all, you know? So what are some of the benefits you found?
Man, some of the biggest benefits that I noticed, for one, was only 12% of Americans are metabolically healthy, which means their blood sugar is all dysregulated. So they're getting these huge insulin spikes and then they're crashing. And so they have no consistent energy levels. And so when I transitioned into a primarily animal-based diet, I started pairing my fruits with like raw cheeses or just my eggs or whatever. I stopped getting these blood sugar spikes, and then I have sustained energy throughout the day. There's no crashes. The afternoon crash that's so normal is caused by your blood sugar spikes. It's caused by your cortisol spikes because of the low blood sugar. And so we want to limit that by stopping all of the sugars, the grains, all the things that are going to just flood the body with excess sugar, and the body can't process all of it at once. So that was huge for me, is just the energy, man. The other was my sexual health and my hormones. And what the biggest thing I see for women, I think that most women are like protein deficient. And they're having all these issues with their menstrual cycles, these painful menstrual cycles,
man,
their mood.
Goes out to the women, man. They
suffer, man. They suffer. And they're having these, like, I met women that I've worked with that literally 2 weeks of every month, they feel like shit. They're having all of these reproductive pains, hormonal imbalance issues, mood issues.
It's half of their life.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. It's wild, man. And that's just normal for them, you know? And so I've worked with a handful of women now since I've changed my perspective, and I put them all on a primarily animal-based diet, and across the board, all of them have reversed all of their hormonal imbalances, PCOS, thyroid conditions, endometriosis, fibroids, all of them across the board have stopped having any pain with their menstrual cycles. Their emotional dysregulation stops. Every single one of them comes to me and says, man, I just started having my menstrual cycle and I didn't even know it was coming. Whereas before, they know like 2 weeks before, they have all this pain and agony and all these cramps, and their mood is all over the place. And just by cutting out all the other foods and sticking with these, all those symptoms are gone. So for me, you can't argue with that at all. And then for men's health, man, my testosterone definitely went way up. which also improves the energy. My muscle tone, like you said, my sex drive skyrocketed. Man, I just thought I didn't have a sex drive, but I was just like nutrient deficient, you know?
Yeah, and like the highs and lows, like whenever you, it's just so crazy. Like, you know, the episode we had on blood sugar and how important that is, realizing that if you start your day off with agave, if you put agave in your cacao, like you are setting yourself up for a crash in the afternoon at 3
Oh,
p.m.
totally, bro. I mean, dude, think about the average person. They're having their cup of coffee with loads of sugar. So you're spiking your cortisol, you're spiking your insulin. Of course, you're going to crash. You're going to kill your sex drive. You're going to throw out all your hormones. Cortisol is your stress hormone. So when you drink caffeine, you're just living in stress. You're spiking that cortisol, that stress response, which is going to make you depleted in your sex hormones. It's crazy, bro. All these things that are so normalized, we're systematically poisoning ourselves.
And that's whenever you start to look for other stuff to get the sex drive back up. You start testing like the previous episode that we talked about, because you're in a state of fight or flight, you know.
We're taking like the blue pills. What is that
Bro, the blue chews, man. Like,
that stuff is everywhere,
it's
bro.
beyond me how 20-something-year-olds could be taking blue chews. Like,
Yeah.
bro, just eat a steak and take a nap. I promise
Totally,
you.
dude.
Like, stop, you know, drink some dandelion root tea or like some mud water or something, you know.
Yeah.
I do want to take a second to give you your flowers in regards to, like, dude, your whole identity, your whole brand, I should say, was built around being a fruit-based detox specialist.
Yeah.
So, like, that massive ego death that you had to have gone through, like, you know, maybe even feeling like you failed past clients, and then like having to, and then being open about it. One, most vegans that are, you know, living in denial, like eating steaks behind the scenes, or like they're afraid to tell people that they went carnivore, you know, because of what implications based off the brand that they built. But yeah, man, I just want to give you flowers for being open and honest about your journey. I think a lot of people find solace in that.
Yeah, man. I mean, my thing is truth over dogma. And so I got to listen to the experience that I'm having personally, the experience that I see with my clients. And I do want to reiterate, like, I'm not carnivore. I do eat some vegetables. I do eat quite a bit of fruit. It's just the way that I eat them. So I do eat more of a balanced diet, but it is a meat-heavy diet now, and I feel way better. But yeah, it was incredibly embarrassing, man, and like definitely put me in this dark night of the soul for feeling like I failed people, leading people the wrong direction, leading myself the wrong direction. It's embarrassing when you put yourself out there like that, make all this content, and then you're like, oops.
Hey, man, look, as a professional battle rapper, I don't even watch my battles. I don't want to know what I said in 2022. I do have a question about, like, okay, so, like, how much meat is too much? I feel like, because like one of the arguments on the vegan, like, plant-based side is like you'll get clogged up, the intestinal tract can get clogged up, and like I'm just wondering, like, what, I know it kind of depends per person, but what portion should we be looking at, and how can we optimize and maximize the carnivore aspect of our diet?
Yeah, man. So what I have realized making this transition is when you cut out all the sugars, the starches, and the grains, you can actually hear your body be satiated. You can feel that, and you know when you're full, and then you stop eating. Whereas when I was eating all of the carbohydrates all the time, you don't feel satiated. And since your insulin's spiking, you have these blood sugar imbalances. And so you can eat and eat and eat. This is what I dealt with for a long time. And you don't feel full. You don't feel satiated. So you end up way overeating. Since I've changed this and I've balanced my blood sugar, like, I just stop eating when I'm full. It's very apparent when I'm full. And that's how I know I'm finished. And you just don't overeat the same when you eat this way, man. Like, you're getting the nutrients that you need. You're not deficient. Your blood sugar's balanced. So I haven't had any issue with that. And really, I usually tell people, like, don't worry about calories. Don't worry about how much you're eating. Just eat till you're full. Stick with this diet. And across the board, bro, they all lose weight. They all improve all of their symptoms. That's the beautiful thing about when you just eat real food and you eat the correct way. You don't, it's so much simpler than these like dietitians and
macros.
Dude, it's nonsense,
like,
bro.
Intuition over macros,
Yeah.
bro. That's something that, you know, I got into that as a young weightlifter for a little bit, and then it's like, dude, quality of calorie is so much more important than just, oh, I got my calories for the day.
Yeah.
Like, people like, oh, I'm on a carnivore diet. It's like, bro, you just ate a cheeseburger from Five Guys filled with gluten, fucking, that cow, his life sucked. You got grease in your body, like, the starches. It's like, there's something to be said about just how good you feel whenever you decide to call up Prairie Creek Farms, go to the farmers market, plus you're investing in local communities too. And I'm not saying that plants aren't awesome. Like, we love fruits.
Totally.
And
I love herbs, man.
You know, and
Yeah.
like we're very connected to the planet and to the earth in that way. And I still think back to that video, dude, one of your videos like a year or two ago, you're like, this is a grape. It's got fucking 8,000 AUs or IUs of energy or whatever, you know. I'm like, that shit still stands.
Right, totally.
You just eat the steak, get your blood sugar balanced out, get the cholesterol, get the sex drive back, and then eat the grape with the 8,000 IUs. Then you're living good. And like, simple is better, bro. Like,
totally.
Listen to your body, listen to your intuition. All I want right now is steak and avocados. Like, that's fine. You know, your body will tell you what you need.
Man, and I want to touch on too, like, the other problems that I think we have with the vegan diets is that most of our fruits and vegetables are genetically modified. They're not the natural fruits and vegetables that God created. They're mostly man-made.
They're from Walmart, Research, Target, or
well, even like the health food stores, man. Like, it's just like broccoli was not made by God. We created broccoli through all of this crossbreeding and things like that. And that's not necessarily bad, but it's not natural. And then we're spraying it with all these chemicals and things like that to grow it. So those are a lot of those issues. But yeah, man, I think that one of the ways that we can get around most of the issues is sourcing locally, like you said. Like, getting locally raised meats that are raised the way you're supposed to, and even produce that you want to getting that locally so it's not having this long distance from farm to plate. You know where it's coming from. You know what their practices are. You know it's real because they actually grew it. And like, who knows what some of the stuff from the store is coming from. Same thing with the animal products, man. Like, how long ago was that cow killed and then processed for the meat and then shipped across the country by the time you get it? Like, how much energy is left? And then you see that they're dyeing meats. They're dyeing, like, fish pink, like salmon and things like that. Yeah. They're adding red food coloring to beef to make it look fresh when it's not. It's crazy, bro.
Scam,
dude. It is.
And, I mean, dude, there's more than likely there is a farm within 10, 20, 30, 40,
several
50
here
miles.
In Tulsa, bro. Several.
Dude, there's a farm within your radius, and it gives you an opportunity to create a new relationship with your local butcher, with your local farmer. And whenever shit hits the fan, now you know people that grow food, and people are outside of Walmart like, where's the red dye beef? And you're like, dude, I'm gonna call Farmer Jim out and
well, right now, bro, there's the egg shortage, right? I went to natural groceries and Sprouts, no eggs anywhere because the bird flu or whatever, right? There's no eggs. But I just hit up Prairie Creek and I got 5 cartons of eggs.
Dude, and I mean, the best way to kill the egg shortage is to home grow it, you know?
That's also true. Yeah, get your own.
People with chickens.
Yeah.
We will never run out of eggs because of our network of people that live and think the same way.
And I do want to say with eggs, man, like, when you get your eggs, corn and soy free, like, chickens are not supposed to eat corn and soy. Like, that's not in nature. They're supposed to be pasture raised, eating bugs and insects, grazing, living real chicken lives. It's amazing the nutritional value difference of these industrial raised chicken eggs compared to those that are pasture raised. It's a significant difference, a huge difference in omega-6s and omega-3s. Omega-6s being inflammatory, omega-3s being anti-inflammatory and healing. And then I want to touch on dairy real quick too, because the dairy industry is psycho, bro. Like, the things they do to these dairy cows is pure evil. And then they're pasteurizing this milk, which means they heat it up to such an extent that it kills everything good in it. So raw milk is full of probiotic bacteria, vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids. It really helps to heal the gut microbiome. Most of these people are dealing with lactose intolerance because of the pasteurized dairy that they're consuming.
Raw
and that stuff is poison.
So it's banned.
Exactly. Yeah. That's how you know, bro. That's how you know. And so, like, finding raw dairy, and again, local if possible, that's a little bit harder to find, and you got to, like, jump through some hoops for that. Sometimes at Sprouts, bro, You can find raw kefir. You know what kefir is? So it's like the fermented, so it's very probiotic. And you can find it at Sprouts sometimes, but it's sold as cat or pet food
So
so that they
crazy.
can sell it.
Natural grocers, they're just outright about it, but they're one of the real ones, bro. Like there's the difference between Sprouts and natural grocers, like is I mean, I can taste it in the fruit, I can taste it in the
Yeah,
meat,
dude,
I can
for
taste
sure.
it like so, just shout out to all the people that are keeping the real food alive, man.
It's
Like
getting smaller and smaller, bro.
yeah, bro, and we're at a real crossroads as a society with the soil, and we're not trying to vegan shame you, bro. Like if you live plant-based life, dude, that look. If you live a plant-based, well, because you've been through it, you're
Totally,
like
totally.
I'm not ashamed at all. I'm
Well,
like
we
I
had
just-
that dude come to the men's group, and he was like a hardcore vegan. Were you hear that?
yeah,
that
my
night?
dog Byron.
Yeah, Byron. Yeah, and maybe shouldn't have said his name, but yeah, he he'd been like a good vegan, like eat a whole food vegan, not like a Oreo eating, French fry eating vegan. Like he was a good vegan, and it created chronic illness for him, chronic inflammation, chronic pain, and so he has been seeing chronic autoimmune conditions, and he's been seeing all that stuff improve by transitioning back into animal products, organ meats, and things like that. And we keep hearing that story come up. And I am not so convinced that in the past, when we had high quality produce, that we were growing our own produce, that we could probably live off of a plant-based diet. I'm totally for that perspective that our bodies could be designed for that, but it's just not happening with our food culture in the States. Like maybe if you were living in Italy where we're actually growing food and it's all local and you're buying it fresh all of the time, maybe you could survive off of a plant-based diet. But here in the States where you don't know where any of it's coming from, it's just not happening.
Yeah, dude. Like I would say, any closing statements here? Like mine would be I've experienced it all. I've eaten like shit. I was a young kid, just like a lot of us, growing up in this sick, twisted society where you're eating Mazio's pizza and popping Sour Patch Kids and all of this stuff that is just full of sugar, full of crap, and like it kind of sucks looking back. Like man, if my parents were more conscious, or if I was eating like raw organic food and we knew the farmer and it was locally sourced, and I just think about how much suffering I could have avoided, and you can't take the past back, but you can empower yourself now and create a better future for yourself. You can take your health back into your hands. The cost difference is literally like 0 to none. Like you might save $5-10 a shopping trip, maybe, but then here's the caveat to that: if you're eating simple, you're not buying as much stuff. You're not buying the snack foods. Like you don't need the chips, you don't need the starches, the lectins, whatever it is. And so there's been a huge transformation in my mind, body, and spirit for just like getting back to the basics and the fundamentals. And like there's still deep programming in me from food and just how I was raised and like coping mechanisms. But the more simple and the more locally sourced and organic, it's like the answer to all of your pain and suffering and diseases, like what's right in front of you. It's like, well, what are you eating? And they like it's just so mind-boggling. People don't even think about it.
No, they don't. It is wild too. But yeah, I think it's really about getting back to nature, getting back to simplicity. People think they need these like 3-course meals with like all these like, you need the grain, you need the vegetable, you need the protein. It's just always this big extravagant thing. And it's like the more simple that you eat, the easier it's going to be on your digestion, the better that you're going to feel. It's really about getting back to simplicity. I mean, man, our ancestors weren't eating like lasagna, it just was not happening. And you mentioned the pricing stuff, and yeah, it can seem more expensive to get the high quality meat from local farms and getting your produce from the farmers market. But like you said, if you stop going and getting coffees every morning, you're not going and getting junk food and fast food and ordering pizzas and all the money that you save from all the snacking, not to mention the hospital bills and the medications that you're taking because of your poor lifestyle choices, you will save money. And I do have the clients every now and then that complain about the price differences, but they always come back around that they're actually saving money. And then I'm like, well, if it's too expensive, you could fast, like we could do some fasting
bring
too,
you more clarity and save your money faster than fasting.
Yeah,
dude.
you improve your diet, you save some money, like, if you don't have enough money, fast too, and that will only speed up your healing process. So yeah, man, it definitely has changed my life. I've watched so many people change their lives with these different changes, and I wouldn't still be doing what I'm doing if it didn't work and if it wasn't important. And the last thing I would add to that is, man, over 75% of the American public has a chronic illness. Over 50% of children have a chronic illness. Children, bro. I can't tell you how many kids I've seen that have chronic illnesses, and they're just kids. Little kids with huge parasite infections, pulling out their hair, crying, black circles under their eyes, under 3 years old. And why is that? Could it be the chicken nuggets? Could it be all the French fries? The fact that we're not feeding these children real food?
Soda.
Man, yeah. I mean, we're just not feeding them anything real. And obviously what we're consuming is causing our illness. You become what you eat. Your cells transition every year. Every 7 years, you become a brand new person. And that person is going to be dependent upon the foods, the nutrition, the fuel that you've been giving yourself during that process. So put the extra money up front in order to eat real food, and it will save you money. It will save you tons of suffering, and that alone is worth it, man. Most of my money goes towards high quality food, and it's not regretted, bro.
I've taken some real sacrifice to get the best of the best, because I know that what I'm feeding myself is what I'm feeding my cells, and like,
yes.
Not to say that, I mean, dude, even the snack foods, even my cheat days has gotten way healthier because I look at the ingredients. I used to avoid it. I used to like be halfway in, halfway out. Like, oh, well, I know this is shitty, but I don't want to read the ingredients because I don't want to know how shitty it is. But now I'm like, man, I'm fucking emotionally. I'm sorry, dude. Man, I'm emotionally distraught right now. Like I need some sort of coping food. And I'm going at the grocery store looking for cope food, and I'm like, look at the ingredients. I'm like, canola oil again, seriously, and I'm like, give me something with some coconut oil, and it's like, even the way that I splurge on myself has gotten more mindful. And just one final thing I want to say, that like, to the people that are it's kind of a spectrum here again. There's people who are, their diet is complete trash. Like, dude, I'm addicted to Jack in the Box, and I don't know how to get out. Like, I love fast food. It's all I eat. To them, I would say, like, just, find your starting point, find your step one. Go to the farmer's market, go to the natural grocers, go to the, do a little bit of research, because I know that deep down that pain and suffering is like not cool,
And you don't know how good you can actually feel.
Bro, you can feel so much
better. Don't know how
in
good you can actually
little
feel.
time, and you're still getting, like, it's not a burger from Jack in the Box, but it's still beautiful beef and goat cheese.
It tastes so
and,
good.
Mushrooms.
So
it's
good.
So much better to
Fire.
create. Not even to mention the relationship you can create with it by cooking it. And then there's people that are like, that know all this stuff, and it's like, we're sounding like a broken record to them. To them, I would say, bro, max out. Like where your shortcomings are, and like, food is such a big emotional coping mechanism. Like, definitely. I know all of this stuff, and this kind of a message to me too. Like, step it up, keep it simple, and you'll be so surprised at how you feel. Like, I cheated with a espresso this week, and my whole life felt like chaos. Notice that. Notice whenever you're overeating. Notice whenever you decide to do something that's more destructive than constructive. And so to the health nuts out there, like, there's still room for improvement, and there always will be.
Go deeper.
Yes. And eat some chicken, and we'll be back on the Refresh Guys.
Peace.